Hello, welcome again to our series on STO, Shutdown, Turnaround, and Outage. This is video number 5. Today we'll covering some important topic related to shutdown, turnaround, and outage, which mainly the scope. What is the meaning of scope and what is the sources of scope? Scope is to identify all the known or desired work activities and maintenance activities and whatever actions it will be included in this project, in the STO project. That will include all the work and the activity details. If there is any anticipated inspection, machinery inspection, maintenance needed, any changes to equipment, to catalyst, to material, any upgrading needed, even needed in the next few years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. For project might be extended to next 10 years. And also what is the expected outcome of this very essential and very critical activity, STO activity. The aim of scope is mainly to eliminate all non-essential and non-turnaround items or activity. There is a very essential question we have to ask. Is there any job planned or will be included in the scope, in the STO scope, could be done under normal condition or could be done during the running or during the production time? As you know, shutdown, there is no production. And we allocate this interval or this time for special activities, special repair, which could not be done during the production time. So this is a very important question to decide which is non-essential and which is essential. To ask ourselves this question: is there any job planned for STO could be done during production time or done under normal condition? If the answer is yes, we should remove these tasks or remove this job. Of course, why we should remove it? Because it will be, if it can be done during the production time, it will be more cheaper, not expensive. And it also reflects on the timing of the shutdown. It will shorten, if we eliminate this activity, it will be shorten the period of shutdown. And as you know, this period is very expensive because it consumes a lot of resources and a lot of budget, and at the same time it has a downtime cost due to non-production time. However, there is some exceptional to this rule. The first exceptional is if the number of workers needed for the STO fluctuate very much or varies very much and not leveled, so we might accept non-essential activity to level the workforce needed during the event. The second exceptional is to take advantage by inserting this job, is to take advantage that can be benefit from whatever already existing heavy equipment like scaffolding, like large cranes, heavy equipment, and even specialized skills which might be available during this period. And these specialized skills and this heavy equipment and this is special equipment, either inspection equipment or heavy equipment or whatever it is, might not be available during the production time. One of the other aim or objective of the scope is to identify if there is any gap between the current condition and the design condition. What is the current performance, reliability, and what it should be? What is the current productivity and what it should be? If there is any gap between what should be and what is existing, so that could be a guidance for us to include this activity and consider it as one of our aim of the turnaround scope. Also, turnaround scope help us to create the work list item. List of all process equipment, list of all equipment considered in the shutdown, including manufacturing equipment, needing repair, equipment needing inspection, leaking valve, BSV, due for inspection, equipment due for inspection, equipment needing to be cleaned, or catalyst needed to be replaced, or certain material need to be replaced due to it has some expire time, or even regulatory compliance items will be part of this work list. Another benefit for STO scope is to generate and organize the potential work list item by operation and by operating unit and equipment classification. For example, this will cover different categories and different list item, including fixed assets, rotating assets, fixed assets including piping, valves, towers, drum, heat exchanger, cooling tower, agitators, also rotating equipment could including rotary drivers, compressor, turbine, pumps, reciprocating pumps, centrifugal pump, different type of pumps and the compressor and turbine. Now, after we introduce what is the aim and what is the meaning of STO scope, the second important question is what is the source of shutdown and turnaround scope? The first source is safety and environment. This is one of the many different sources, of course, because there are so many sources for STO scope. Safety is one of these sources. Safety and environmental action items, process safety management contribute as a source of the scope. Environmental monitoring data and recommendation for environmental compliance is also comes under this first source. The second source is from maintenance itself, maintenance and the maintenance work order, specifically work orders. Work order is generally generated from CMM system that are employed today, which create work order through maintenance management scheme system, which start with work identification and then planning, scheduling, execution, and documentation. So that scheme will generate work order. And this work order can be designed as a routine or set aside for turnaround. It can be, if it can be done as a routine maintenance, that is recommended. And if not able to be done or executed during operation, so it can be set aside for turnaround later on whenever it's due time. Maintenance covering all type of equipment, whatever equipment required maintenance, any equipment, any assets will of course generate or create work orders, including rotating electrical, static equipment, instrumentation. All these are assets which from time to time uh, create a work order. So we have to decide if this work order can be designed as a routine maintenance, then it has to be done during operation or during running a maintenance, or it has to be set aside or kept for later on to be included within the maintenance and the maintenance work order for shutdown and turnaround scope. The third source is the backlog. It's very similar to the second source. However, backlog is a list of work orders that has already been planned and ready for execution. So again, whatever within this backlog, which designed for not designed for routine maintenance and set aside for turnaround, that will be another source of the STO scope. Of course, backlog can cover different types and categories of maintenance, including time-based maintenance and feedback coming from time-based inspection and the BM inspection. Sometimes BM feedback reveal problems, and these problems may not be able to be handled or might not be able to be executed during operation time, so it is set aside for turnaround. Or predictive maintenance monitoring, history monitoring vibration, monitoring oil analysis, monitoring performance, monitoring current, ultrasound, infrared thermography. All this is a BDM monitoring system, which can again create a feedback that reveal a problem. This type of equipment normally reach its engineering limits, so it is part of the source. Backlog also include shutdown history. This is the problems which been noticed during the shutdown, either during the past shutdown, planned shutdown, which has been done many years before, or unplanned shutdown, which might happen during the year or during the interval between previous shutdown and this shutdown. So this again, we call it shutdown history. It is also has to mention here that we recommend to make sure that no duplication of the maintenance backlog activities or items. Of course, that can be done during the filtration and approval of work within the backlog. This is part of the maintenance management scheme. So it has to be make sure no duplication. Sorting and virtualization can help to avoid this duplication. And also this work, this backlog has to be printed and distributed so everyone can see his own area and filter and check whatever is missing or whatever is not included or whatever is being duplicated. Another source of the turnaround scope is the inspection recommendation from the inspection department. Recommendation to improve, especially if we have noticed the problem or reported problem or feedback problems regarding the low mean time between failure or low reliability or frequent failures for certain equipment. Of course, that should also be covering all equipment. Also, an inspection checklist will provide a source for work to be included. When we talk about inspection checklist, it is a good example to mention piping inspection if there is any corrosion under insulation which has been reported before. Also, walk-through inspection by the operation and the maintenance people will identify any physical problems not previously corrected or not previously reported. Solicit the input of others or reviewing shutdown files. This again comes under inspection. The other source is the process improvement opportunity. Process engineering department studies and recommend probably from technical service or from process engineering department. Regulatory equipment, source of shutdown and turnaround scope, including regularity requirements, regularity and jurisdictional inspections, interval and expiration dates, This again comes under regulatory requirement. Manufacturing recommendation from the manufacturer and the designer, especially in the plant that is used in licensed process, need to keep up with what has been recommended from those manufacturer and from those designers and those who approve this license. Change may or may not needed to be included in the turnaround based on the requirement and based on the situation. Another source is unit equipment list or equipment history. A unit, the entire equipment list, all the fixed and rotated equipment in the unit should be reviewed to explore if there is any history or any repeated circumstances or symptoms or causes which is in the history. Of course, documentation of work orders and get feedback during the repair. After doing the repair, it is a good source of equipment history. This is part of the documentation within the maintenance planning scheme, which include identification, planning, scheduling, execution, and the documentation. From that documentation and afterward from data analysis, we can get a good source of equipment history. Another one important issue we have to mention here is to make efficient turnaround scope. After we identify what is the aim of the scope, what is the meaning of the scope, and what is the source of the scope, here is some effective recommendation about the turnaround scope. First, make sure we don't miss anything. Anything should be included and then decided if it is set aside for turnaround or recommended to be done during the operating maintenance or running maintenance. Everything should be put on the table. Once everything being explored on the table, it will subject to discussion and to share ideas and conclusion from a different team and from steering committee and the shutdown turnaround team. Prepare a complete list for each unit, whatever component, whatever items under the parent unit. Of course, there is a child item. All this should be also considered through the hierarchy system. Then know and flag what was excluded, what was included, and why it is included and why it is not excluded, and know the reason why it was excluded from the shutdown on scope. It is recommended also to attach all pending work order to each asset, whatever been for some reason it is not been practically or not feasible to do this repair during running maintenance or during operation time, so that considered as a pending work order. So we have to see and we have to investigate these pending work orders. Also, it is recommended to include to each asset the next regulatory inspection due date, so we can decide if it can be within this turnaround, if it is can be included within this turnaround, or it can be shifted to the next one. Also, it should include each asset the past history inspection history, to learn from the inspection history lessons and experience, and even some recommendation or some guidance or some system we can apply or we can follow. So it is good also to include these inspection reports and consider it as part of effective turnaround scope. Also, it's recommended to include to each asset the other information, whatever other V&ID, checklist information, historical information, guidance, troubleshooting information, and so on.